I guess I'll just start by, I was listening back to some stuff that you did before the season, and you were very clear that you're like, I'm going to be me this season.
Yeah.
So how have you seen that kind of manifest so far?
I don't know. I think it's just from the top down of who's in the building, the trust that we have in each other, and then too, just the players that I'm surrounded by allows me to be myself. But mainly just the people who are in the building. They allow me to be me, whether that be get angry or whether that keep level-headed. Like, if you're playing good, then they don't really matter. It doesn't really matter how you act, you know? So I think that's the biggest thing.
They mentioned Puka is kind of this model that they said before the season, we kind of wanted you to fill this role. You mentioned earlier that you had played a lot of slot in college,
Mm-hmm.
and just how comfortable are you in this role right now?
Very much so comfortable, but there's still a lot to learn just because it's a new position. Kind of been outside the numbers a lot in my earlier years in the career, and now we're kind of just mixing in things that, that I like to do and creating mismatches, and that's all credit to Z-Rob.
What do you think is the biggest thing you've learned so far in this different role?
I don't think there's anything really different that I've learned. It's just play football. Yeah.
What do you think about Seattle's defense and just the job that McDonald's done going back to Baltimore?
Yeah, they're a killer defense, They got some real good ball players over there. They love to fly around. They love to hit, and I mean, that's what you expect from a defense. So it's going to be a good challenge on Sunday.
How unique is that scheme? Just like in the way they disguise guys and just how creative it is?
It's pretty unique, but I mean, across the league, there's always going to be disguises and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of the point of defense right now, is just try to throw the QB's game off and anybody else's game off. So I don't think it's anything truly new, but definitely, like I said, it's going to be a challenge.
Did you win who did win that WWE belt for the block?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it was probably I think it was Charlie for sure. Yeah.
You had one at week 2, right?
Yes. Yeah.
When did that start?
Last year it started, and that's when we got the official belts made and stuff like that. Real hardware. Yeah.
How far has your chemistry with Kirk come since week 1?
I mean, a long ways. I mean, you can see. I mean, based off of numbers and based off of how many points we're putting up and stuff like that, it has gone a long way, and it's still progressing. And I think that we can get to probably another 2-3 levels above this. So every day we're just going out there working and trying to be our best selves for each other.
How big has he been for you as you kind of take this next step here, especially these last couple of weeks?
Huge. I mean, shoot, he's what, 36, right? He's 36, yeah. He's 36, and he still comes out here like he loves football, like it's his first time ever playing. So I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways that I take from Kirk. And then, too, that, like, when you're in this profession, you almost not can't have a life, but if you want to be great, then you got to spend your days in the facility, get more work, whatever it might be, just seeing certain stuff so we're on the same page and understanding our opponent.
How would you evaluate your development as a blocker so far this season?
I don't think my development as a blocker has gone up, or I mean it can, but I think it's just being noticed now. Just because, I mean, when you start doing good, I mean, now I'm on ESPN and talking and doing stuff on my off days, so everything is a little bit ramped up. But I think it's just people are taking notice now of my blocking capabilities.
Okay.
Yeah, Drake, Brittany Jarrett referred to you as a dog. Do you agree with that description? And what does that mean to you to be seen that way from a veteran like him?
Yeah, I would like to think that as well. And if he thinks that, then I think I'm in the right direction. But coming from a guy like that, I mean, he's the heart and soul of defense with Jesse Bates. So that makes me feel good. And definitely I got to keep it up. So people do refer to me as that. And that's something that I want to be referred to as.
And Drake, what would you say the funniest moment thus far in practices that's happened this season has been for you?
I think honestly every day. It's just Kurt come up with something, me and KP laughing, and Mooney or whatever, Ray. I think everybody. I think we have just a great bond at the end of the day, and it makes work coming fun to you, or makes I don't even know, coming to work fun. There you go. Appreciate it. And then too, it's just winning at the end of the day. If you win, I think everybody has a smile, so it makes it easier.
Drake, did you envision, when you guys came into preseason and once you guys got everybody here, did you envision the offensive production being what it is right now, which is, extremely impressive and really high? Do you envision it being even greater? What's your take on it?
I think once we figured out who was the head coach, who was the quarterback, some of the additions like Ray and Mooney, that's when I started envisioning. I'm a type of person who would kind of just doze off and daydream about certain stuff, making a catch, making a play, and that incorporates the whole offense, So I always envision stuff, and I envision even greater for us right now. So I think the sky's the limit, and that we just got to keep on pushing for that to get to those levels, Yeah.
Did you say that you daydream about? Sorry, because that just caught my eye. Because I'm a big daydreamer myself. Okay, so when you're like thinking back to this, before the season, and you're thinking about where you want to be in terms of your goals, do you feel like you're kind of in line with that, with the way that you're playing this season?
Yeah, getting close to it. I was always taught that if your dreams aren't as big as you would like them to be, then you're not gonna get anywhere. So I kind of set goals that are kind of outlandish. They're out there, and I do it on purpose because if I fail, then I know that I'm still doing a good job in some way. But it's always I don't want to get complacent where I'm at, and that's pretty much it. Just don't get complacent. That's the killer right there, is complacency.
Drake, if you had to describe yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Step outside of yourself for a second. Somebody's like, "Hey, man, that Drake London at the Falcons. Like, what kind of receiver is he? How would you describe yourself as a receiver, man?"
This year is a little bit different, and I was actually kind of thinking that about myself because I do so much blocking. There is a lot of slot work. There is also outside work, and honestly, I don't know what to call it. I don't know how to view it. But it's something that I can do, and it's something that I deem that I'm good at, So I don't know in what words I can put it as and what type of player I am, but I think I'm just, in a sense, very, very versatile if you give me the opportunity to be.
Seattle, pretty potent offense. I think they have the most passing yards in the NFL so far this season. What's the preparation been like for them?
Yeah, extremely explosive offense. They have talent. I mean, everywhere. Obviously, throwing the ball. A former first-round draft pick who's seen a lot of football, and now he's playing probably his best football of his career. Can make every single throw. Can see the defenses, and then you have all the skill outside. A lot of high draft picks, talented players, but then you can't forget about their running backs. Walker and Charbonnet, who I know. Just looking at them and how the progression of their season, they didn't have a lot of opportunities early. Gave them a little more opportunities of late, and I'm sure they're going to try to use those running backs as well in the run game. But I think Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, he's done an excellent job. Yeah, the last couple of years, at the University of Washington, almost won the national championship last year. Helped Mike Penix almost become a Heisman Trophy winner, and just barely almost won a national championship. So. His offense is high flying, a lot of unique stuff, a lot of stuff that you can see why they were so successful in college, and now he's brought that to the NFL, and they're the number one offense throwing the ball right now. And I'm sure they want to balance out a little bit and try to run the ball a little bit more, and it gets real easy to do that when you have those talented running backs back there. So we have a monster coming in here in Atlanta that we have to deal with defensively. There may have been a few questions here or there. May have been a few back and forths.
Yeah. What was that dialogue like with you and?
Oh my, he's awesome. We have a really cool relationship, and just a few little questions here or there. But he's obviously busy preparing on the other side of the ball, so I didn't want to bog him down too much. It was more confirmation of some things, and but still, everyone adds wrinkles. Everything's new every single week. It's not like we have all the secrets to the test here, so we still got to go out there and do what we do and execute what we do at a high level.
Getting Nate Landman back, how much better does that make, the running defense, would you say?
Yeah, getting Nate back was a huge shot in the arm for our defense, for our team. His leadership, his vocal communication to get everybody lined up. And then you can see his run fits. He's an excellent off-the-ball linebacker. He also, there's a play that's kind of, it's a copycat league, as everybody says, on special teams, offense, and defense. And Carolina tried to run this play that actually would just scored in the London game. Komet, the tight end for Chicago, scored in that first game there versus Jacksonville. But that play is scored all over the league. And Nate sniffed it out and blew up the play and hit the tight end in the strike zone, no play. But it's stuff like that probably doesn't get looked at or written about. But we know what Nate Landman brings to our defense. So huge shot on arm for our whole team.
Yeah. Coach, what has the main focus been defensively this week in preparing for the Seahawks?
The main focus, there's a lot of things to worry about, like I just mentioned. They have talent everywhere. They're obviously the number one passing offense in the NFL right now. But then you can't lose sight of those two talented running backs. And so really the focus has been, how are we going to slow this pass offense down? But at the same time, how are we going to make sure our run gaps are sound? How are we going to make sure we keep this ball in the chute and limit their run game as well? So it's a very, very high-powered offense that we're dealing with.
And how are you addressing improving your quarterback pressure from your ends?
Yeah, so we're really close. Our guys, when you watch the tape, we have a lot of quarterback pressures, quarterback hits. The ball's just out, just barely. We're so close, and so our process, the process that our guys are going through, it is correct, and we just got to trust that the results are going to come. The results are going to come, and we're really, really, really close. You watch the film, you put it down there, you see those guys are getting rid of it just like that, or incomplete pass, or hit on the quarterback, or we missed the quarterback like we did about 3 times this last game. And so we have a free guy there, missed the quarterback, and a missed tackle, and he springs free. And so what we can do is hit the panic button and start trying to change a whole bunch of stuff. We're close. And we're hoping this process that we're doing is going to prove some results here coming up.
I mentioned to Coach Raw that the proverbial identity of this defense seemed to be a bend but don't break, type defense. As such, obviously, the more time the quarterback has, the more pressure you create on your back end. The quarterback like Geno Smith, obviously, the more time he gets, the better he becomes. So, how are you guys? How are you addressing that balance? Between your front end, and the back end to kind of make sure that everybody's good.
Yeah, no, and that's every single week. It's a balance. It's every single week. I mean, if you lean one way or the other, you're bound to give up quick strikes, and all of a sudden you're down 7-0, right off the bat. And so it's a balance time of taking chances. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and that's just a continual process throughout the game and seeing how they're calling it, how our guys are reacting to some of their calls, and then how we switch things up, as the game moves forward. And I think you've seen that as our games have unfolded here in the last few weeks. Maybe offense get a few things, we tighten some things up, and they don't get very much the rest of the way. And so that's what we got to continue to do as a coaching staff and our players as well.
Defense has been really good about limiting explosive plays. The Seahawks bring the number 1 passing offense to Atlanta. Do you think this is like the true test of their abilities?
For their pass offense, no question. I mean, this is the stats bear it out, right? They have the most passing yards, the most attempts as well, and so it's definitely going to put a lot of stress and test on the whole back end, but also our rush and our linebackers, all 11. But every week's a test. Every week is a test. Every week, it doesn't matter who we're playing. And at this level, there's talented players, talented offenses, talented schemes. These are the best coaches in the world as well. And and so we have another test right here coming up in what are we now, week 7.
Troy is hurt right now, so maybe this is not the best timing for this question, but Caden has been pretty effective in rushing the passer. Has there been any considerations like moving him to the outside and like doing some different things with him?
Yeah, so every single week, I believe so far, Caden has had rushes and has been very, very effective at that. Caused 2 of our interceptions that we had, the game-sealing one against Philly and one against Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. And so every single game, Caden has played off the ball and he's rushed the passer, and that'll continue.
With Justin's status kind of up in the air, just what have you seen from Richie this week?
Yeah, well, so first of all, Richie got a few snaps this last game against Carolina, played really well, and he's played well in practice and earned the right to get those snaps. And I'm excited if he gets that opportunity this Sunday for him to get even more reps.
The general nature of the cornerback position is you exist on an island. AJ's got a big task ahead of him, obviously, this week, lining up against Metcalf, big, strong receiver. Are you guys doing anything special or anything different, with regards to this particular opponent, or is it pretty much, same program, same system, business as usual?
Yeah, post game, I'd love to tell you. I can tell you all the details, exactly what we're going to do. But you mentioned AJ, who's playing at a really high level right now. It was awesome to see him get that game-changing interception in the second half. Really, that was a huge play on our end, for the whole team. But to really get some momentum and get us up by multiple scores for probably one of the first times this year in 2024. And so I'm excited for AJ to continue on that path to get more footballs in his hands and get some game-changing plays.
How much have you enjoyed coaching Judon? Has it kind of been everything you would have figured?
Oh, yeah. I think I mentioned in one of my press conferences, his first day here, you first got a great interaction with him. He's an awesome personality, I'm sure, as you guys have seen. And but his first day, we're going against our offense. Kirk throws a screen, and he sticks his foot in the ground and just runs and chases and runs faster than everybody on the defense and chases down a screen. And that let me know everything about his makeup and who he is as a football player. This guy works hard, he studies hard, and he plays hard. And that's what, no matter what level you're at, you always have to have that mindset. And Judon has that. Even with all the success he's had, he still has that. He brings that lunch pail type of mentality every single day he comes to work.
We're a third of the way through the season.
Yes, sir.
How would you kind of evaluate how special teams has played so far?
I think special teams as a whole, we're continuing to improve and get better. Like Mark, we talk about the new kickoff play. We've covered more kicks already in a 6-game span than we have all last year. And you only get better at reps, so continue to see gradual improvement with the kickoff play. And then with the kickoff play in the field position, Mark, now you're starting to get less punts and less punt returns. So those plays become more critical than ever. I was just talking to Bradley about that, how last 2 games he's only had 2 punts and making each and every punt count, whether we're talking about our protection, our operation, and then our coverage. So just making those things count. So I see the guys, they're doing a better job overall with our just our fundamentals, our techniques. We're getting better at reps. We have some players on our team that haven't necessarily played on a lot of special teams before, that they're continuing to get better and they're taking advantage of their opportunities. And we're excited going into this week, just to get better in all 6 phases on special teams.
You all lost Mike Abernathy
Sir.
a little bit, and he's a key cog for you on special teams. Who replaces him, and then how do you kind of he's so good there, how do you kind of replace that skill?
Well, Mark, it's unfortunate to lose Micah. He was a tone setter for our units, a leader for our units, and took a lot of pride in how he went about his business, whether it was in the meeting room or on the field. And I, pray for a speedy recovery for him. And then to answer your question about how we replace Micah, it's going to be by committee. He plays a lot of different positions for us. In years past, too, he played the personal protector for us as well. He was new at playing the gunner position this year, and even some of last year. But we have a lot of guys that are ready to step up to the table and, put their best foot forward and help in any way possible. And I'm excited about various guys in multiple roles to help out in that regard when it comes to replacing Micah.
Coach, what have you learned about the Seahawks special team unit, and has that prompted any adjustments?
Well, they play fast and they're physical, and a lot of credit goes to Jay Harbaugh. He does a great job there. He came from Michigan, and prior to that, he was in Baltimore. So there's some things that they do on special teams that's pretty similar to what they do in Baltimore with John Harbaugh and how they operate on special teams. They have two really good returners with Chanel and D. Williams, the rookie out of Tennessee. Both those guys are very dynamic with the ball in their hands. They have two different running styles, and they're both on kickoff return. Obviously, Chanel had the big return last week to spark a close comeback that they had versus San Fran. D. Williams is a really good punt returner. Myself and Stephen King, we evaluated him coming out of Tennessee and had some visits with him. But those guys, they create a lot of issues in their return game versus our coverage unit. So it's a great challenge for us. Michael Dixon, he's been a Pro Bowler before, the punter, right foot, he could flip the field. He has a lot of different club selections when it comes to punting. He could put the ball on or outside the numbers. He could get the ball off quick. He can manipulate his kick based on the type of rushes he get or based on how the returner set up. And then Jason Myers, their kicker, he does a great job flipping the field as a kickoff guy and putting the ball in different spots, especially with the new play, the new kickoff. You could do a lot of different kicks, and he could put the ball on the ground. He could put the ball outside the numbers, left or right. He could have the same approach and do a different kick. And then you talk about their core players. Brady Russell's a really good player, second-year player out of Colorado. He's a tone setter for those guys, and he's coming out of the tight end room and does a great job covering. And then Kobe Bryant, who's came on as late, really good gunner. I think he is one of those guys on the perimeter, does a good job being disruptive in coverage and on kickoff. He's made a lot of good tackles on kickoff. So they got a bunch of guys and that we got to account for, and our guys are looking forward to the challenge come Sunday.
Coach, you came in with an idea or a plan of what you wanted the special team unit to ultimately look like. Now,
yes, sir.
You've gotten through 6 games. How's your assessment of your end goal of what you wanted the special team unit to be versus where they are right now? And has there been any moments or any games where you just felt like everything was just clicking on all cylinders?
That's a great question. My overall goal for our special teams is just being able to help our team win ball games and allowing our players to exemplify their attributes, their athletic abilities, their toughness, their speed, their effort, their attitude, technique, and put it out there on tape in a positive manner. I don't really necessarily look at – the only production I look at is the wins and losses. Are we winning plays? Are we losing plays? And if we're winning plays, we're helping our team win the game. I don't get fixated on stats when it comes to that. So I don't really look at stats. But I would say for our guys, we're on the trajectory of where we want to be and how we want to get there. Is that road ever easy? No, it's not. It's not easy. But when you get to the end result, when you come talk about winning ball games, putting ourselves in position where we have key plays that help us win games, whether you're talking about field goal, whether you're talking about scoring on punt, whether you talk about getting a big punt return, blocking a punt, all those different things, our guys are doing those things, and they care about one another, and they're making game-changing plays. So our job is, and our goal is, can we make more of those? Can we be more consistent? Can we play, we use the term mean but clean. Play fast, physical, but within the rules of the game. And our guys are doing those things. And the challenge is each and every week, can we get better? And you only get better with reps. So I'm excited how we're going, and I think our best days are yet to come on special teams.
I'm pretty sure we haven't spoken to you since Kadero had that walk-off. Just how is it like just seeing him have his moment, one on special teams, he had that one, and then on offense?
Yeah, I'm happy for him. You could tell the whole team was happy for him at the end of the game. Everybody just rushed the field. And it goes back to, we see the work that Hodge puts in and day out as a player, whether it's in the meeting room, on the field, and he talks about just being prepared for the op. You'd rather be prepared without the opportunity than unprepared with the opportunity. And that's a great example of being prepared before the opportunity presents itself. Drake goes out, gets the wind knocked out of him. Red goes in one play, we score. It's always we just 48 guys. It's always next man up mentality, whether you're playing on offense, defense, or special teams. And for that to happen, we're not surprised when it comes to that because he was prepared for those opportunities. But we're beyond excited for that, and very proud of him as a person and how he goes about his business day in and day out.
Since you were here last year, not to compare the two coaching staffs at all, but what's it been like watching this group kind of honor what's going on right now, if that makes sense? 3-0 in the division, just off to a strong start in general. How are they handling this good moment, if that makes sense?
I think our guys overall, and it starts with our head coach, Coach Morris. He does a good job of recognizing the moment, but we all understand that the job's not done yet. We talk about outrunning the South. The job's not done. We still have a lot more ahead of us. So what's ahead of us? Right now it's Seattle, and that's our main focus. So our guys, it's always, you feel better when you win games and when you win 3 in a row. But that's the past. We could dwell on that, or we get fixated on the future and be nervous, like, hey, are we going to win the next 4, next 5? Or we could be locked into the now and be focused on how can we get better to be rolling on all 3 phases come Sunday versus Seattle. And that's where our mindset is at, just being locked into the present, but still recognizing even the games that we won, there's a lot of stuff that we could get better at. And we're working on those corrections to go out there and put our best foot forward. But at the end of the day, the job's not done yet.
A quarter of the way through, what's it been like during games having the new coaching staff mesh together? Are there still kinks being worked out, or is it kind of smooth at this point?
Whether you're a new staff or old staff, there's always situations within games, Taryn, where there's always kinks being worked out. But that's why we have practice. We go through certain situations. How are we going to operate? How are we going to call this? Are we going to go for it? Are we going to punt it? Are we going to kick a field goal? Are we going to be aggressive as a defense on a certain call? Are we going to be aggressive as a punt return unit? All those different things come up, and we go through that. But the thing that I give a lot of praise to with Coach Morris is he stays even keel. He's the same person as he is in the press conference, as he is when you walk into the hallway, on the field. He's the exact same person on game day. And that, for a coaching staff, that's awesome because you know what you're getting each and every day, win, lose, or draw. He's going to be the same person. And at the end of the day, titles don't define you. Who you are as an individual does, and how you carry yourself.
Coach, with Ray having become such an integral part of the offense,
Yes, sir.
Is there a conscious effort taken towards managing, right? How many returns, he's doing, in a game, understanding that his role in the offense, has gotten a lot bigger.
There's always awareness to what guys do on offense and defense. I believe, Taryn, you asked Jimmy a couple weeks ago about defensive starters playing on special teams. There's always awareness to that as a special teams coach because we're trying to play the best 48 and maximize the 48 on that roster come game day. You don't want to injuries happen from overwear and tear and stuff like that, or just freak accidents. But when it comes to the return game, Avery or Ray, especially Ray with his increased role on offense, he's an intricate part of our return game when we talk about kickoff return. That's the first play on offense. So I think, and we think as a staff, the most important play is that play. And at the end of the day, our number one objective is to win. In order for us to win ball games, we got to win the play. So we're going to put the best 11 out there to help us win that play when it comes to whether it's kickoff return, whether it comes offense, defense, or punt return, special teams. We're just putting the best 11 out there. So there is always awareness to that. But if you ask Ray wants to be out there. You ask the coaches, they want Ray out there. You ask our guys blocking the return game, they want Ray out there. And his best days are yet to come as a returner, and I'm excited and I'm very blessed to be able to coach him.
You guys haven't moved King up, from the practice squad, to the active 53. What's your assessment so far of how he's done? What prompted that?
Yeah, he's a good football player. He has length, athletic ability, has great IQ. He cares, which is first and foremost. Like again, guys that started on defense before and then now their roles as special teams. He loves his role and he accepts his role and he wants to be the best at his role, so he cares. And the players know that, and it's awesome to see that. And having him out there and being a part of our special teams, even though prior places he didn't play those certain type of positions, but that doesn't. I'm not going to limit him because of somebody he's been limited before. I think in a world where you try to believe in fairness and try to give guys opportunities, King's those guys. I'm one of those guys I'm giving opportunities to. But he created those opportunities himself as a player by his effort and his attitude and the way he goes about his business day in and day out.
How are things going, so far? I'll cut you off.
Yeah, just go straight into it. Let's do it.
You had adoration. I felt a little non. How have things progressed, as far as the quarterback room with Kirk at the beginning of the season? It seems like the offense is really finding its groove, I guess, the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's progressed great. Started off a little slow, kind of like everybody noticed. He hadn't played football since the previous October. There's always going to be some rust. There's always going to be a little bit of just a transition period of getting used to the game speed. Even when you play in preseason, there's a certain speed. And you get to the regular season, there's a certain speed. And obviously when you get into the playoffs and deep into the season, it cranks up even more. So, I don't care who you are and how long you played. Like it's going to take take a little bit of time to get used to it, and just a couple of weeks of knocking some rust off. But we kind of found our groove, and it's kind of a little bit of everything. New coaches, new offense, new players, everybody meshing together. Not any preseason time to kind of work out those kinks. So, to come out of the first little stretch of the season and kind of be in that transition phase where we had to kind of figure out ourselves and kind of who we were as an offense was good, and we're in a good spot right now.
There were some concerns early on. I don't know if you saw anything from external forces.
Oh, nothing. I didn't see anything on Twitter or nothing like that. Yeah.
Still injured, and then he throws a franchise record 509 yards a couple weeks ago. I guess much to do about nothing early on in the season.
Yeah, it was kind of a lot of the same stuff we were just talking about. Zach, first-time play caller with a new quarterback and a new offense, kind of just finding out who we were and what works best. And at the same time, first week of the season, that's one of the best defenses in this league. Don't get it wrong. That is a damn good football team that we played that first week. So I don't care how crisp we were, it was going to be tough against those guys. So, again, a little transition period, and after that game, you kind of just got to tie your shoelaces and go to work after that. A lot of things to work out, but these last couple of weeks kind of really showing how many different ways this team can win on offense has been very encouraging.
Is there still more to find as far as Kirk goes? Because I've seen some of the analytics, some of the deeper stuff, the drop back depth is not as much as previous. That type of stuff. Is there still more to go? Is he still shaking off some of that rust? And is there another level that he can find?
I think he's always going to progress throughout the year. Just the farther and farther away you get from an injury like that, whether it's a knee, an Achilles, whatever it is, you're just going to keep progressing and getting back to more and more yourself as time goes on. And every single week we go out there, he's a little bit more like himself, a little bit better version of himself than he was before. So, and that's just not physically. It's mentally in a new system with a new play caller, with a new team and new receivers. So this is kind of new territory for him and us, and every single week is a little bit of a growth mindset for everybody involved.
I don't think we've talked to you since the season started. So
I know. I finally got invited back in.
How has it been in your new role now that action has started?
It's been great. Obviously with the last couple of years, being with the receivers is a completely different ball game. You talk differently, you teach differently, you're talking about different things in meetings, you're looking at the game from a different perspective, and just a different, group of guys, intellectually, group of guys, maturity-wise, whatever it is. Every room's different, every person's different. Just the wide receiver room from year to year has different guys in it. So, that can change. But obviously a little bit more my speed, more things I'm used to talking about and I've done my, kind of my whole life, my whole career. But, coaching different positions, coaching receivers, spent a year coaching offensive line, all those things kind of help you grow and see games from a different, side and a different perspective. So bringing all that, previous experience from coaching in different spots back into the quarterback room, or really in the quarterback room for the first time, is, helped me, grow as a coach and a teacher, and hopefully that's going to help the quarterbacks play better.
What's it been like for you working with Kirk and getting to pick his brain from the quarterback role?
Yeah, no, he has, a lot more experience than I ever had, or anybody in the quarterback room really has combined. The amount of experiences that he's gone through in 13 years, the teams he's played, the coordinators he's gone against, the way he can reference, oh yeah, back in 2013 it was 3rd and 5 and we were in this exact same play and we got this blitz. I'm just like, ooh, okay. He's an extremely smart person with a lot of experience, and he can apply those different things to each week, and he's really good at forgetting things and moving on, but he also is, has a talent of remembering stuff from the past that, help him grow better as a player.
Josh isn't here to ask this, so I will. Do you
Okay.
get Kirk Cousins voice memos too?
I do get Kirk Cousins voice memos, yes.
A lot of them?
A couple times a week. It's actually a good tool because, we're always in meetings. He's at home with the kids. It's a good time. Instead of hopping on the phone for 10 minutes, me and Zach get 10-minute voice memos with all of his thoughts. And it's a good recap. Instead of hopping on the phone, you spend on Sundays all this time during the game talking to each other. And then on his way home, he'll just, send you a voice memo, his thoughts from the game, early thoughts, or the next morning after he watches the film. Maybe we haven't met yet, or for whatever reason, he'll just kind of send you some thoughts on practice on this and that. And he has great recall, and he has a great ability to see the game while it's happening, and then also right after kind of assess it and make his judgments or assessments or corrections or whatever they may be. It's a really easy way to communicate instead of getting a 9,000 word text message.
Do you take notes as you're listening to it? Like, oh, that's a good point. I need to jot this down.
I haven't done that yet, but I can always. Before this, I went back and looked at my text message how the recordings still say stay in your text group or whatever, so I can just go back and listen to them again. They don't disappear. Well, the ones, I don't know why he got the special ones, because they don't disappear. Like, you get the 10-minute ones, they don't disappear, apparently.
Usually have to press, keep or something like that.
Yeah, they're still there. Maybe it's got a timetable on it.
It can be said that you guys have a plethora of riches in context to, options for ball distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Rod listed, 6 guys, and the fortune of you guys, just having all those options, obviously, for quarterback, that's a dream come true.
Mm-hmm.
With some of the leagues, best ball distribution, how much of that is by design versus, as Kurt likes to reference, it's really about, going through my progressions and, whoever the open guy is, that's where the ball is usually going.
For sure. And with a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, the third and fourth and even fifth option is going to get the ball way more than other quarterbacks. His ability to exhaust his progression and go all the way across the field and get to a Tyler Algier as his fifth option on a check down, just like that. He can decipher and see, oh, this coverage isn't good for my front side for my 1 and 2. I'm going to quickly get back. That's when you see, Ray on a bunch of in cuts on the backside. That's when you see Kyle when he gets all the way back to his front side and he's hitting Kyle on a pylon route for a 50-yard gain. There's not a lot of guys in the league that can get back to those types of progressions as well as he can. And that's only a good thing because we have so many different pieces on offense that you're going to find all those guys within any given play. So, kudos to him for his experience and how much and how good he is at doing those things. But it helps everybody out on our offense. It makes everybody in our offense feel like they're involved, and how nobody can really take a play off because anybody on any play can get the ball.
Obviously, you worked closer with Drake last year, but just what are you seeing from him taking this next step?
It's awesome for him. The offense that we had here, the last couple of years wasn't as you guys know, a super heavy pass type offense that we've had here in the past. But his ability to have a rapport with Kirk and see coverage through the same lens, so they're always on the same page, is something special. Which he is such a smart player. He has such a good feel on the inside. He can run the outside routes. He can run the inside routes. He can do things down the field. He can be the short little, third down, quick completions. Those two guys, they watch film together. They do a lot of post-practice work, pre-practice work, so they're always on the same page. And just to see, Drake's growth over the first couple of years is, obviously something special to me because I was with him for 2 years. And just see where he's at compared to where he was. And, maturity off the field, maturity on the field, not getting too angry and worked up because he is a fiery guy and he is so competitive. And to see just his mental growth over the years as well, not just his physical stuff, has been good to see, and he's obviously having great success.
He said that this coaching staff is really allowing him to be himself. What do you think he means by that?
Well, as any receiver, the more you're throwing the ball, any receiver is going to be a little bit more happy. But it's just the the freedom to work within the route system or work within the progression to kind of have, just a little bit more freedom in his routes, not as much rigid, run the lines on the paper. It's a lot of the times, you sit here, you try to coach this, you coach that, and at the end of the day, 18 has to throw to 5. So you two, you go over there on that field, you guys work it out, and you guys go do it on Sunday. So some of it's not overcoaching some of the stuff and going to let 2 extremely good football players just go play ball.
Coach, the O-line has done a great job of giving Kurt, space
Yeah.
To find the open guy.
Absolutely.
How has it impacted him knowing that he's also got 2 running backs that literally are look to mix it up in context to helping with that pass block support?
Yeah, not only the run protection or the pass protection is having that run game with those running backs and the ability for the offensive line to go 1 week and drop back 60 times and give Kirk the protection to throw for 500 yards and turn around the very next week and run for 200 yards on the ground. The ability to do both is so rare in this league, and that room that Led has is such a special room. They're so selfless. They don't care if they have to drop back 60 times, which all offensive linemen, they don't like that much because they're sitting there on the defensive. Those offensive linemen like to run block as much as they can, but they're willing to do whatever it is to win. And the fact that we can win two different ways just it makes it more exciting for our offense, and that's involving even more guys. You were talking about having all those guys to distribute the football to, but when you run the ball, you're including those offensive line more than anything in the success of the offense.
How have you seen Michael Penix Jr. progress since Yates?
He's been great. Mike in general is a pretty quiet guy, but the more and more that he's comfortable in the system and comfortable in the room, he's talking more. He's has more input. He's an extremely smart guy for not having a lot of experience out there at this level. But people kind of forget I don't know the exact number, but he's older than a lot of people on this team. So he is a very mature player and a mature person and a smart player. He's played a ton of college football, so he has a lot of insight and a lot of experience that you wouldn't really expect from a rookie. It's almost like you don't view him as a rookie because he'll be in there in the meetings, he'll have an input on something, or he'll talk about a protection or whatever it is, and you kind of forget, like, oh, this dude's played a lot of ball. You're not talking about a normal rookie here. So it's fun. He takes the scout team serious. He knows that every single week he's giving the offense, our defense, a good look on scout team offense, and he's taking those reps serious because those are the only reps you get as a backup quarterback. So, sticking with him as much as you can. DJ Williams does a phenomenal job, and it's almost like we have two quarterback coaches in the room. Sometimes I'll take Kirk, he'll take Mike, and then we kind of go our separate ways and trust in him that he's going to give Mike the right information, coach him the right way. We have a phenomenal room, and we have the ability to kind of split up and talk two different things because they're kind of different players. And the DJ and Mike have a very good rapport as well. So the room's good, and having Nate Peterman in the room is good too. He's a vet. He's been around a lot. He's played a lot of football in a lot of different systems. So all the insight and the conversations that we have in our room are only helping us all.
When would you say you started to get more comfortable asking questions and started, more dialogues?
Just it takes a little while once you get a couple preseason games under your belt, and you get to work in the offense and practice a bunch. We did a really good job throughout the offseason and training camp, getting both of those guys a ton of reps. Mike took a ton of reps against our ones. We were more typically the ones versus twos, two versus ones in training camp. So the amount of reps that he got going against our first team defense in camp was so valuable for him. And the more you get into it, the more you get used to the offense, the more you can talk it with a guy that's been, in a similar system for the majority of his career.
And he did well against the ones.
Absolutely. He's done a great job giving them a good look.
What's the dialogue with him and Kirk? We were talking to Mike the other day, and he was saying that, he's still trying to kind of find his way in some respects, asking Kirk questions or getting feedback. Yeah,
for sure. It's been a maturation process for them, for all of us kind of getting used to each other. They're obviously at very different parts of their career, 13 years in your first year. So it's been good to see their growth. Sometimes in meetings I'll be talking, DJ will be talking, and all of a sudden you kind of stop and Mike and Kirk are talking to each other from across the room, and you kind of just sit back and let it happen. Sometimes it's obviously Kirk giving him some insight and, Mike talking about what he's seeing, and you like to listen to two smart guys talk football sometimes. You kind of let it happen. So, it's good for them. It's good for us. Again, we have such a great room. We have fun in there. We talk a lot about non-football things, and there's a lot of conspiracy theory talk in there. It's not so much that we're into conspiracy theory. We're into the idea of them and talking about the absurdity of certain ones.
What is the most absurd one that you guys have discussed?
I can't reveal that kind of information.
It's just us, dude.
No, it's not just us. It's everybody. It's everybody. But we have a list.
You guys not even here?
We have a list on the board.
You have a list?
We have a list of the ones we like to just kind of discuss and talk about,
How long is the list?
Oh, man. I don't know. 15, 20, 25. I don't know.
It's a lot of
Maybe one day. Maybe if I get invited back, I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one. The Denver airport.
The Denver airport's a conspiracy?
You didn't know that?
No.
Just YouTube it later. Just check it out. It's a good one.
Caught the Omna apparently. Like,
Yeah.
She's hip to the Denver airport conspiracy.
Absolutely.
So what do Kirk and like Mike talk about as far as the conspiracies? Is that like a big part of their dialogue?
It's more of it's all of us in there. It's all of us in there. You know, it's a good, healthy and conversation. Every once in a while, somebody will come in and write one on the board, and we'll talk about it. And like, oh, that's cool, or that sounds crazy, or like, you know, the hidden city under Altoona Lake, or not Lake Lanier. You know, all that stuff. There's a bunch of different rumors.
Would that be like a little field trip for y'all?
No. Lake Lanier's dangerous. I'm gonna stay away from there.
Don't tempt fate.
Yeah.
Jesse was kind of talking about how Penix as his locker room buddies, you know, asking him questions, and they're just kind of, I imagine that's like a very valuable thing for a rookie to have a guy like Jesse. Just how have you seen him take in all this, like, you know, whether that's Kirk or Jesse or any of the wisdom?
Yeah, you know, it's just like I was kind of saying earlier, like Mike is a guy who's played a lot of football, so even the older vets around will still, you know, they value his opinion, what they're seeing when he's playing scout team quarterback. And Mike is a very inquisitive guy. He's you know, always trying to learn new things and get things from different perspectives. So he picks Jesse's brain all the time, other guys on defense, Nate Lamon, all those guys. They have, you know, such a good rapport in the locker room where they can just kind of sit down and talk ball. And, you know, they got the locker room set up so there's rookies next to vets and vets next to rookies and third-year players next to 13-year players and vice versa. So, you know, the locker room is a sacred place, and you know, I'm not allowed to go in there. All the coaches have to walk around the locker room. We can't walk through the locker room anymore, the way they have the building set up now. So we let it be in there. But those guys are great. The whole locker room is great.
Do you see any of like Kirk rubbing off on Mike? Any influence there? Like, is he shopping at Kohl's now?
No, but you know, I saw Kirk's you know, quote, a little bankroll fresh quote yesterday. You know, maybe that's rubbing off on him. You know, Kirk's.
Is that from Mike?
I don't know where it came from. He said the locker room, and I don't know. I listened to the presser yesterday. Said somebody in the locker room told him. So, you know, Kirk's an interesting fellow, a guy that can, you know, quote Bankroll Fresh and Margaret Thatcher at the same day. You know, he's just an interesting human being.
Good guy for Penix to learn from.
Absolutely, multifaceted.
Do you know how to swag surf?
No, I don't think Kirk does either. He's trying though. He's trying in his own way. It's
conspiracy.
Absolutely.
Cousins actually swag surf.
I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think everybody knows.
So, Coach, last question for me. When you know, from the time that you first came on board, and well, I guess from the time that you established and understood what the offensive plan was going to be, and then you guys actually started working, putting all of that together, did you imagine that success in that would be a 400-yard game, a 500-yard game, and you know, some of the things that you guys have done, is that pretty much meeting, or does that exceed your expectations?
Well, obviously, when you throw for 500 and you set a record and all this stuff, it's going to exceed everybody's expectations going into a certain game. Or, you know, one thing I've learned from Zach and, you know, everybody on this offense is that he doesn't really, going into game planning week, he doesn't care, you know, what way we have to win. It's just all about what's going to work best, you know, for this week to win. If it's passing, whether it's rushing, whatever it is, we always have, you know, a good plan to attack the defense that presents itself. So it's not just like we have one way to win. We have one way to win. We have to be able to win in multiple ways. We know we're going to see different types of defenses throughout the year that are going to, you know, propose different type of challenges. So that's the cool part that's been so far. Like I was saying earlier, you can throw for 500, you can, you know, run for 200, and you know, about 10 days, like you have a dangerous offense, and that comes from top down, from Rod to Zach to all the coaches, and it bleeds into our players that we can really, you know, win any way with any of our guys out there.